Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everybody to our memorial to Albert Winslow Dodge. My name is Ron Gothier, part of the Planning Committee. Welcome everyone here. This is a fitting tribute to Al Dodge. You'll see that he was a long-term member of the Iron Rail Commission. He was Eagle Scout number 1 in 1929 and assisted most of the 98 Eagle Scouts that have followed through today. The common theme of today's dedication is service. You'll see that we have the layout of the benches. We have stands for the plaques. There's also one behind you that one of the readers will read from. There are some future plans for here. We're looking to have more of a walkway down to the road, information kiosk. Also, we're looking to have a display in the Scout Barn over to my right, where the reception will be afterwards, and also somewhat of a mobile display on the theme of service of the life of Albert Winslow Dodge. This is a combined project of Boy Scout Troop 28 and the Iron Rail Commission. The Troop Committee completed this project as part of a troop service project, and the Iron Rail Commission has supported this project as a tribute to Al Dodge, who was instrumental in acquiring the Iron Rail property. At this point, we'd like to welcome the Dodge family, the dignitaries who are attending, and all of our guests. I'd like at this point to introduce Win Dodge. Just want to stand, Win, so they can see who you are. And Wynn's family here is there. Wynn will have a chance to make some remarks close to the end after he's moved by all of what we do today. I'd like this time to call up Reverend Michael Duda for the opening prayer.
Run all the way down. Thanks. Well, it is an honor to be here, and anyone who went anywhere with Al, I had the opportunity to take a couple rides with him, and then I learned better. But anyone who went anywhere with Al had the privilege and the pleasure of being introduced to his many leafy friends. And it's just wonderful to see this. I can't think of a better tribute. But also had the privilege of knowing Al into his 100th year as a member of our church, and he had a way with the people he met that I think was just as powerful as his way was with the trees. So I'd like to offer just a blessing that I think is fitting for this space and for the way that Al approached nature and everything he did. So if you join me. Deep peace of the running wave to you. Deep peace of the flowing air to you. Deep peace of the quiet earth to you. Deep peace of the shining stars to you. Deep peace of the Son of Peace. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Duda. At this point, I'd like to call up Matt Bailey, Scoutmaster of Troop 28.
As Ron mentioned, I'm Matt Bailey, Scoutmaster of Troop 28. I'm happy to be here today. I met Al Dodge a few times at church towards the end of his life. He would often ask about the troop. And I can't say I knew him well, but he had been an acquaintance. He came to First Church often. I had the privilege of attending his memorial service as he wanted the troop to usher his service. I was immediately struck by the memories speaker after speaker shared and realized not only did Al Dodge have a complete life, his was one of an Eagle Scout whose life was guided by the Scout oath and law his entire life. In my mind, he never left being in Scouts. During his lifetime, the majority of Troop 28 Eagle Scouts benefited from Albie's guidance and wisdom on their path to Eagle rank, whether that be encouragement or ideas for their project. He was a remarkable man who lived a lifetime of service well into a 100-year life. So a memorial is a fitting tribute. Now, there's a term in scouting called cheerful service. And one scouting ceremony I recall states the following passage: "Firm devotion to our brethren and our cause, ourselves forgetting. Let us catch the higher vision. Let us find the greater beauty in the life of cheerful service." So when I think of Al Dodge, I think of that lifetime of cheerful service. Almost 100 years after Albie joined Scouts in the 1920s, I like to think many things we do as a troop carry on his legacy of service, whether it's delivering warrants and town reports, helping First Church with Family Promise, spreading mulch at the Tea House Park, and now helping to keep up the Dodge Memorial. Another part of our unit's cheerful service to the people of Wenham. And I want to thank you for joining us today.
This time I'd like to call up Ted Batchelder. He's representing the Iron Rail Commission.
Hi. On behalf of the Commission, I would like to thank you all for being here, and in particular the Scouts for creating what we see here. I think the one word I want to say about Al is humble. Humble leads to service, and service he certainly provided to this town for a good 100 years of his life. And as an example, I would like to use the Beverly Hospital Garden, and that he created and helped develop. Yeah, he didn't need to go to the White House and get a certificate. It was in his heart, and he knew he'd done something, and he was very proud of it. And that just was his service to the community.
At this point, I would also like to invite Win Dodge and John Clemenza to the podium. And we're going to have a presentation of a certificate from the Board of Selectmen.
Thank you, and good afternoon. Welcome to everybody here to this dedication, and I think this is called Wenham Weekend, because yesterday was absolutely superb, and today is a nice touch-off to the end of it. I'm here representing not only myself personally for the amount of time and devotion that Al spent with me, mentoring me through selectmen and scouting, but I'm representing the Board of Selectmen and the town of Wenham. So we have here from the Wenham Board of Selectmen a proclamation to Albert W. Dodge Sr. Memorial. Whereas Albert W. Dodge Sr. created legacy of leadership in his role as town of Wenham Selectman, whereas he served for 12 years, Wenham Regional High School Committee, whereas he served for 9 years, member of the Veterans War Memorial Committee for many long years, member of the Iron Rail Commission, and the longest-serving tree warden in the state of Massachusetts. Whereas Albert W. Dodge Sr. was a passionate public servant, a student and teacher of Wenham history and geography, much geography. He was an inspiration for all of those who knew him and those who now follow in his footsteps. And whereas Albert W. Dodge Sr. was an advocate, a guide, and a leader in his work with the Wenham Boy Scouts and for vision on the Iron Rail property. Now, therefore, it will be resolved on behalf of the town of Wenham, we, the Wenham Board of Selectmen, honor the memory of Albert W. Dodge Sr., recognized with gratitude the work of the Iron Rail Commission and the Boy Scout Troop 28, and celebrate the dedication of the Albert W. Dodge Memorial as a fitting tribute to his legacy. In witness thereof, we do hereby set our hands and affix the Great Seal of the town of Wenham this 9th day of September 2018. And this is signed by our chairman, Catherine Harrison, and Jack Wilhelm, and myself. Sir? Thank you, John.
At this point, I'd like to welcome Senator Bruce Tarr. I know he was planning, he may be a little bit later. While we're waiting for Senator Tarr, waiting for Senator Tarr, we'll have Representative Brad Hill, who, if Senator Tarr doesn't show up, Representative Hill is entitled to Bruce Tarr's time.
I told Senator Tarr to be here at 1 o'clock, so he should be coming in any moment now. And I want to thank everybody for allowing me to come today to say a few words about Mr. Dodge. I actually met him as a very young person through his grandson, David, when we were playing sports together back in the 1980s, early 1980s. And you don't truly appreciate someone like Mr. Dodge when you're so young. But as I got into politics and as I got older, boy, did I appreciate that man and that great citizen of Wenham. When you get into politics and you get into a district and you have to go and visit people, you're told you have to go visit this person. You have to go visit this person. That's how you get support in a town. Well, of course, one of the people I was told to go meet was Mr. Dodge. And I thought that we were going to have a conversation about Wenham politics, but instead, we had a conversation about his family, about his friends, about the town of Wenham. We didn't talk politics that first time I met him as a candidate. And on that very first day, I didn't become a politician to Mr. Dodge. I became a friend to Mr. Dodge. No matter who he met through his 100 years, you were a friend. And the conversations that you had with him all centered around family and the town of Wenham. He loved this community more than any citizen I have ever met in my time in politics. No one loved a community like he did. He took me on a tour, so where's Reverend Duda? I also took a ride with him. And he showed me the great swamp. He showed me paths in Wenham that I didn't even know existed. And by the way, as you remember, I grew up here, so I know this community. How fitting it is that we are here today on Wenham's 375th anniversary, memorializing Mr. Wenham, Al Dodge. And to the scouts that are out there, he is somebody you should always look to as being the great scout. In politics, we go to the Eagle Court of Honors, and I don't ever remember not seeing Mr. Dodge there, giving his words of wisdom to those Eagles, so after he received his. Ladies and gentlemen, this is beautiful. And this is something that the town of Wenham and its residents can now always come to remember one of its finest citizens, Al Dodge. To the family, my most congratulations to you. To the scouts and to Iron Rail, you did a phenomenal job. Congratulations on a job well done. And I believe I'm seeing and hearing that maybe Senator Tarr is coming right in behind me, as usual. So congratulations, everyone, and thank you for allowing me to share a few words with you. You want me to introduce him? So, ladies and gentlemen, the gentleman from Gloucester, your state senator, Bruce Tarr.
Well, thank you very much, Representative. I figured I would give you at least 15 minutes to be able to speak, and then I would come, and I think my timing was just about right. But I am honored to join with you and everyone here today to recognize the very important work that's been done to create this memorial in recognition of a remarkable citizen of this community and someone who was always such an inspiration to us year after year for his belief in the community, for his advancement in scouting, and his personal investment in scouting, and showing the way for so many that walked the path to Eagle that it could be done and that there was a reason to do it and that it was an important part of your life. And along the way, he also reminded us of the importance of our natural environment, making sure that we always thought about the trees and horticulture, and making sure that when it was time to fight the winter moth, we stood tall and took it on together, because that was the kind of commitment that he had, that reminded us that we all have important purposes in our lives. And while we could certainly be amazed, and were amazed and inspired by his longevity, for Albie Dodge, it was about more than longevity. It was about passion in life. It was about commitment in life. It was about reminding us all that we're important to each other as neighbors and members of the community, and that we all ought to spend our days thinking about how to make the community better, whether that be helping along a scout, whether on the trail to Eagle or just a member of the troop, or pruning a tree, or making sure the landscape was kept as beautiful as it could be. He was a remarkable friend to all of us, certainly an inspiration to all of us. And how fortunate are we that as we think about the 375th anniversary of the community, we think about someone who was here for so many of those years, that kept on the very best legacy of what it means to be a citizen of the town of Wenham. And we're extremely fortunate to have this place, to be able to come and spend a couple of minutes and look at these beautiful plantings and sit on this bench and think about our friend Albie Dodge, and think about what we can do to continue on with his incredible legacy. It's an honor to be here with you this afternoon, to thank everyone that's responsible for creating this memorial, and to spend just a little bit of time once again saying thank you to Albie Dodge for a life well lived. Thanks to Win and the family for sharing him with us, and to think about how grateful we are to have known this great man, and to have a place of solitude to think about our good fortune in having that relationship with him. Thank you all very much.
So a little shift in our program now. We're actually going to have the reading of the various plaques. So we're going to start with the one that's up in the back where Win Mulry will be speaking. Then we'll work our way around back towards the podium. So Win, let me get the microphone over to you. Win is the owner of Landscape Planners. Lynn is also a member of our planning committee. And Win has put in a tremendous amount of time and effort into this. And he's going to read the plaque, A Man of Trees.
A man of many trees. In 1899, Massachusetts became the first state in the nation to mandate a tree warden for every municipality. Albert Winslow Dodge helped maintain this legacy by serving as Wenham tree warden for more than 50 years, the longest tenure in the history of the Commonwealth. Over the years, Al planted hundreds of trees in the town and was supported in his efforts by a generous fund of private donations. After studying horticulture and landscaping at the University of Massachusetts, Al worked at a local tree company for several years, and in 1945 founded his own company, Dodge Associates, Inc. After operating this local tree service business for 26 years, Al sold his business to become an arboricultural consultant and plant nursery owner. In addition to his continued duties as Wenham tree warden, his involvement with local and national arborist associations was extensive. Al was an active member of the Mass Tree Wardens Association for 55 years, a founding member and past president of the Essex County Tree Wardens Association, and a member of the Massachusetts Arborist Association, where he created the certification program for arborists in the state. On the national level, Al was a founding member of the American Society of Consulting Arborists, a member of the National Arborist Association, and a founding member and past president of the New England chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture. Al's dedication and commitment to the environment and his service to the town and other organizations remains a remarkable accomplishment. I also had the pleasure of knowing Al in sort of the last few years of his life, and like Reverend Duda, we had a few drive-arounds, which, in hindsight, I wish I had brought a recorder with me just to tape his voice and just be able to replay all the information that he had. I don't even think we talked about trees. I think we talked about the cemetery, the history of the town itself, and just being invited into his home on Main Street and being shown his extensive paperwork and maps on the trees in town. And, thank you to Win Dodge especially for providing me with some of his dad's notes and paperworks, which I'm constantly reviewing, but it was just a pleasure knowing him and being able to spend the short amount of time, and kind of regretting not having him around to help as a mentor to help me through the political process, and realizing, walking a mile in his shoes, it really was a lot of work and time and dedication that he provided to the town of Wenham, a community that he truly did love.
Around you are 80 acres of land and buildings known as the Iron Rail property. Selectman Al Dodge was instrumental in the purchase of this parcel by the town of Wenham to be used for future municipal needs. In 1974, the Girls Club of America was selling the property for $250,000, a very large sum at that time. Thanks to the persuasiveness and the foresight of Al and fellow select people, Marjorie Davis and Dick Phippen, at a special town meeting held on September 12, 1974, the townspeople voted to purchase the property and establish the Iron Rail Commission. Al served on the commission from 1980 until his death in 2015, serving as chairman for 9 of those years. Al's vision grew into reality over the years since the purchase in 1974. The Iron Rail site has become a valuable asset, with the main building, sports fields providing important revenue to the town, from leases to local businesses. Through the years, the Iron Rail has provided a location for a new water tower, the Wenham DPW buildings and equipment, and land for expansion of the town cemetery. The property includes the Scout Barn, which the Boy Scout Troop 28 has used for many years for meetings and equipment storage. Sports fields on the property allow for various youth soccer teams and leagues to practice and play games. The acreage also provides an opportunity to preserve land for the open space and recreation. What was once seen as a huge expanse has now returned its original investment many times over. Since everyone's been talking about Al's driving, I just want to share the first time. I didn't take a trip with him, but my wife did. And she came back and said, Al can't turn his neck. He would come down our driveway and just barge right out into traffic, cars scattering all over the place, guardrails skirted, but he survived. We all survived. And on top of that, he knew the time was a couple of years later, maybe I should stop driving. So that was good. And finale, I just want to say the last words that Al uttered to me, the last I heard. Ted, I'm leaving town. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Win. Next, we have the reading of the plaque, A Legacy of Leadership by John Clemenza, a member of the Wenham Board of Selectmen. John is also the Eagle Scout advisor who's worked with Al on numerous Eagle Scout projects and the Eagle Scouts, large number of them. And John is also a member of the Planning Committee.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, that's my post. And while I'm sauntering over there, Al was the go-to guy for most of the Eagle projects that happened in this town, and there are hundreds of them because we've got about 100 Eagle Scouts to our blessing. A Legacy of Leadership. Albert Winslow Dodge, or fondly known to family and friends as Al, displayed a dedication to community affairs that continued until shortly before his passing at the age of 100. With a lifelong commitment to service, Al served the town of Wenham in several positions involving local government, education, and the environment. Starting in the 1950s, Al was instrumental in the formation of the Hamilton-Wenham Regional School District and in the construction of the regional high school in 1961. In 1971, he was elected to the Board of Selectmen, serving 12 years. Al also served as the longest elected tree warden in the state of Massachusetts, holding that position for 53 years. And now we have Win Mulry, so you got a long ways to go, sir. With his determined personality and passion for the betterment of the town, Al identified future town needs and made important projects happen when others were not able to. Al's reputation among property owners His reputation amongst property owners and extensive knowledge of all the town properties made him the go-to person for locating new building projects in Hamilton and Wenham both. Understanding the importance of open land and the environment, Al was instrumental in advocating for the purchase of this property, the Iron Rail property, by the town of Wenham in 1974, a site that continues to benefit the town of Wenham residents fully. Along with his wife, Betty, Al was involved and participated in many other community initiatives over the years. Al and Betty were also active and beloved members of the First Church in Wenham. Al became a member in 1941 and served as its trustee from 1948 to 1961, overseeing the major addition of the parish construction project in 1952. With great joy, the congregation helped celebrate his 100th birthday with his family and many friends in May of 2014. Al's lifelong dedication to town affairs and his visionary leadership left a legacy of service for all of us to follow. And I'd like to say that he was one of my greatest and strongest mentors. We sat like two gentlemen when I decided to run for selectman in the front parlor and discussed everything but politics. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, John. So I walked the back of the oval so we can complete the circle to the other plaque. The fourth plaque is actually going to be read by someone who's a big part of my scouting life. When I was a young scout in the 1960s, along with Paul Seward, who is involved with the troop today, this gentleman was the waterfront director. And I've had the opportunity throughout my scouting career to be a part of it. I think it's very fitting for Al Dodge to know that Tom Keogh, if you please come forward, that Tom Keogh will be reading the scouting for all of the service that Tom has done to scouting. Tom is an Eagle Scout, longtime adult scouter. He's also in the National Hall of Leadership from the Yankee Clipper Council, along with Al Dodge. Tom also knew most of the same Eagle Scouts that Al worked with, in fact, was related to one of them. And Tom has served as selectman in Manchester by the Sea. We need it because we're taping you.
Oh, okay.
Posterity.
I usually can work without the mic. First of all, full disclosure, never been for a ride with Al. This plaque says, Eagle Scout, lifelong scouter. Having joined Boy Scout Troop 1 in Wenham in 1926, Al was an early participant in the Boy Scout movement and earned his Eagle Scout rank in 1929. He was the first Eagle Scout in the Wenham troop, having completed the 21 merit badges and all other requirements necessary. During his life, Al was a long-standing participant and supporter of the scouting program and continued to be a dedicated and effective leader in the community until his death in 2015. Al remained committed to the aims and purposes of the Boy Scouts of America, to develop character and to train for citizenship. From 1940 to 1943, Al Dodge was Scoutmaster of Troop 1, which later became Troop 28. Throughout his life, he continued to work with the local Scouts on Eagle Scout projects and was a regular attendee at Eagle Scout Courts of Honor. With the purchase of the Iron Rail property in 1974, Al was instrumental in providing the Scout Barn as a meeting place for the Wenham Troop 28, where the troop still gathers today. In 2010, Al was recognized for his service to youth in the scouting program by the Yankee Clipper Council. He was one of 12 Scouters selected for the National Hall of Leadership Award, which was granted in the honor of the 100th anniversary of the Boy Scouts of America. 2 years later, the council also recognized Al with the Centennial Scout Award at a local Distinguished Citizen Award event. Throughout his long life, Al was a respected member of the community who lived by and practiced the principles of the Scout Oath and Scout Law daily. His influence and guidance benefited many Eagle Scout candidates over the years, particularly dealing with Eagle Scout leadership service projects. Al was an exemplary role model for the scouting community, a leader in his community. In my opinion, I'd say that Al Dodge was the living epitome of the Eagle Scout motto, which is once an Eagle, always an Eagle. Growing up in nearby Manchester and being a chance to get around and meet many people through scouting, and had a chance to re-meet some people today that I knew from 50 plus years ago. Scouting is really a brotherhood, and Al brought that to the forefront. When I was younger, meeting people like Al and other people who had earned their Eagle Scout Award while the program was still in its infancy was really quite an honor. Each one of those early Eagle Scouts had stories to tell. They talked about their scouting experiences, and you thought about how different their scouting experiences were from what I was experiencing at that time. It was quite an honor to be able to talk to them and learn from them. Just think of it. When Al earned his Eagle Scout Award before the program was 20 years old, in 1929, only 6,676 young men earned the rank. Just for contextual comparison, last year, in 2017, 55,186 Eagle Scout Awards were presented. Al continued to give back to the program as a Scoutmaster, as a committee man, and as an adult involved in his community and his Scout troop. At many Eagle Scout courts of honor, all Eagle Scouts in the audience are asked to come up to the front. They want to be there when that new Eagle Scout receives his award. When we were called up to the front for the Eagle Scout ceremonies in Wenham, there was one person who strode with great purpose to the front of the church. It was Al. We would stand there when the Eagle Scout was recognized, and then before we went back to our seats, we were asked to say our name, what troop we were in, and what year we received our Eagle Scout Award. Well, when it was Al's turn, after some of us who received the award in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s had given their name and everything, he would step up and say, Al Dodge, Troop 1 Wenham, 1929. Well, that was met with tremendous applause by everybody in the audience at every Eagle Court of Honor. As I already stated, the Yankee Clipper Council recognized Al with a nomination and become a member of the National Hall of Leadership in 2010. 2010 being the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Boy Scouts of America. Again, a great honor for Al, but it was just so significant when he received that award to think he was receiving that award 81 years after he had received his Eagle Award. So with those two thoughts, I hope you do understand why I say that Al Dodge best represents once an Eagle, always an Eagle. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. And now there are 4 plaques, but there's also at the center, we have the dogwood tree in the center, and I'd like to call up Blake Denman, who will say a few words on that. Blake is the project coordinator for this project. He's an Eagle Scout from Troop 28, earning it in 2003. He was number 94 of the 99. And let me turn the mic over to Blake.
Thanks, Ron. Here in the center of the plaque, of the oval, we've got this dogwood tree right here. We've got this little plaque that says, "Landscaping generously provided by Landscape Planners Wenham 2018." This is just a little way to recognize Win Mulry back there, who is shrinking down. When I came and was, I guess, persuaded to be part of this committee, there was all this groundwork to be done, and I didn't really know where to go, where to start. And pretty soon, Win Mulry came into the picture, and obviously he's one of the owners of Landscape Planners Wenham. He has a lot of expertise with groundwork and landscaping, and he was the saving grace for sure. He made this look beautiful. He helped us to, design it so that it's going to be easy to upkeep for the scouts. He helped to, as a go-through between the town and our little commission, and I really just can't say enough about how much Win Mulry helped out with this project. So that's why we had this done. He really deserves it. He did more than me for sure. So thanks to Win Mulry. And then next, if Ted Batchelder, Matt Bailey, John Clemenza, and Win Dodge could come up, that would be fantastic. And also Jake Meyer, if you could send up a couple of your scouts to hold the ribbon. So we're just calling up several representatives from each of the groups involved with this project: Iron Rail Commission, Selectmen, Scouts, the Dodge family, our little committee to get this project done. And we're going to have Win Dodge cut a little dedication ribbon here. Yeah. On this day, September 9th, 2018, we hereby dedicate this memorial site on behalf of the long life of service shared by Albert Winslow Dodge with our community. His son Win will now cut the ribbon.
Where's my father when I need him?
You can all return. Except for Win, I need to win it.
I just want to add that between yesterday's successful happy birthday to Wenham and today's successful memorial to Al Dodge, Norman Rockwell has nothing on the town of Wenham.
So the next part of the program is recognition of contributors, but before that, I just take a personal note. And what prompted this was to talk about rides with Al. Win, who will be we're going to recognize first, but Win actually trusted me to drive Al. When Al was receiving the National Hall leadership at the council dinner, he was being recognized, and I don't know if there was a conflict or not, but Win let me drive Al to the council dinner up in Andover and back. And I share the same sentiment everybody else said. Riding with Al, you learn so much, and taking in every moment of it. Having been a scout, as I mentioned earlier, in the 1960s in the troop, also an Eagle Scout, number 33 in 1973, and the father of two Eagle Scouts, one of whom worked on a project directly with Al, which was the boundaries of Wenham and reposting them. You'll see these white poles with red toppings. It really had been quite a privilege. And also working with Win on Rotary, I think what it shows is that sense of community that not only Al has, but the Dodge family has. And having been a part of that myself, I know I'm very grateful. It was also quite an honor to be able to be part of the recognition for Al at the district and council level. And it's quite an honor for myself to be able to be part of this ceremony and be part of the planning committee. At this point, we do want to recognize contributors. We want to start with the Dodge family. And we want to thank the family for its legacy gift and contribution. And this is also Win's opportunity to have his remarks.
So if I understand correctly, because Bruce was not here to take up his half an hour, I get about 15 minutes, but no. It is a chance for me to stand here and thank a lot of people, really too many to be named, but first I want to recognize my family who are here, my sisters Joanne and Susan and their husbands, and my wife Julie, and my niece Sarah. And they've been, particularly Julie, has been very supportive on this for many years. So we really started this something over 2 years ago. It's been 2 years in the making. And it was born of an idea of scouts or scouters here at Troop 28 to recognize my father. And, you know, it got off to a slow start. But thanks to the people who were on the steering committee here, we kept plugging and kept plugging and kept plugging, and now you see and you've heard some of the accomplishments. And so I want to just shout out again Win Mowry, landscape planners who stepped up to the forefront and created something out of almost nothing here. I couldn't do much about the hill, but you know, the place looks great. And Blake Denman, who came in with Blake, he got here in the forefront, and he volunteered sort of, but being an Eagle Scout and just a graduate from Pingree Gordon College, he stepped up to the plate and just kept everybody moving over the last couple of years on this. And I want to talk John Clemenza, member of the steering group. You've heard from him. Matt Bailey, Scoutmaster. Cindy Purdy went to a lot of the minutes helping us put this together. And of course, Ron Gauthier, who is the MC today. So I really want to thank everybody and all the folks behind them in support of this, for this really memorial to my father. One personal comment here. Everybody talks about, I won't go into the driving scheme. I drove with him too many times. Way back when Dad, who was a selectman, came to me and he said, well, so you're going to be the Scoutmaster next year. And I didn't really know that, but Dan McIntyre was leaving town as a Scoutmaster, and the barn had just been turned over to the Scouts, so it was in the talking phase. He says, your first job is to clean the place out. So when my son David was still a Cub Scout, we came over here and took what was an enormous mess of stuff inside that had been used for beer parties and kids, and so we started cleaning the place out, and it took many, many years of just throwing out all stuff that was on the second floor and burning stuff outside when fires were continuous for months, I think. But that was my first introduction to scouting as a Scoutmaster. But I want to say again, thank you for the committee, thank you for everybody for being here. I really appreciate that, and turn it back to Ron.
For our next two recognitions, I'd like to invite Matt Bailey up front as well. The first one is we want to recognize landscape planners Win Mulry for his donation of time, materials, and passion for this project.
We have a certificate of recognition from the troop, Win, so if you can come on up. Like Ron and others had mentioned, you know, Win Mulry was really key to pulling all this together. We had some of it there, but really getting it to this place today is thanks to Win and his company. So we're very grateful, and this is a lasting legacy to a good man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Blake Denman, come on up. No, Blake is one of our Eagle Scouts, and he had a fair amount of cheerful service on this. And really, I know Blake went into outdoor education, but I've mentioned to him before, if he ever wanted to go into construction project management, he really has that skill set, and the troop is very grateful for your service coming back and you know, buttoning this up with Win and the committee, and really helping everybody out, and something that is a lasting legacy to a good man. Thank you. Take care. And I don't believe he's here, John Mastranzi, but the Iron Tree folks were a big help as well, and just wanted to recognize their service and their contribution to this project. Oh, if Ted can come up, Ted Batchelder. Okay. And John was also a member of the Iron Rail Commission during a piece of this. So, you know, the Iron Rail Commission has been a tremendous supporter of this project and a big partner to make all this happen, and we're grateful. So, on behalf.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you. And I'll turn it back to Ron.
We also want to recognize for the town of Wenham various committees and individuals. We've already mentioned many times the Iron Rail Commission, but we also want to recognize the members. Jim Romano, Chair, who was not able to be here today, but was very excited about how all of this came together. Jason Wachtel and Ted Batchelder, who is here today representing the Iron Rail Commission. Tree Warden, Win Mulry. That time I got it, Win. So Tree Warden Mill Mulry for all of his work. We also want to recommend the Department of Public Works. Bill Tyak, who is in the back, is he? Yep. Bill Tyak sitting here. If you want to just stand, Bill, we want to recognize the work that you and your crew. They contributed both time and materials and, again, shared the same passion in having this put together as it is. Board of Selectmen, Catherine Harrison, Chair. Catherine, if you would just stand. John Clemenza and Jack Wilhelm. Also, Town Administrator Peter Lombardi, who's been most helpful. We appreciate the support and guidance provided by the Board of Selectmen and the Town Administrator. We also want to recognize the Wenham 375th Committee. I don't know if there are any members of that committee here today, but really recognize the, thank you. If you want to just stand, Harriet. The Wenham 375th Committee was very gracious in having us as part of the weekend and did a lot to help get publicity out about this dedication today. We appreciate the work and of that committee and the great success you had yesterday. Boy Scout Troop 28, Wenham, you've heard from Matt Bailey, Scoutmaster. We also recognize Cindy Purdy as Troop Committee Chair and, as was stated, a member of the Planning Committee. We also recognize Maureen Meyer, who is a Troop Treasurer and was handling the project funds for this. We'd like to also thank and recognize the Rotary Club of Hamilton Wenham, who made a contribution towards one of the memorial plaques. Also the Anthony family. As you know, the CPA firm of Anthony and Dodge, Tom Anthony passed away early this year. But at the 100th birthday party for Al, the Anthonys donated $100 towards Eagle recognition, and we used that $100 towards a plaque. So we want to thank the Anthony family. CCI Printers in Beverly, they made a contribution towards the development of the memorial plaques, and also multiple individual contributors who have helped to make this possible. And it looks that we have some additional funds which will help us with the ongoing maintenance of this. At this point, we'd like to have Reverend Michael Duda come back up again, and Reverend Duda will provide the benediction. While he's walking, I can share as a past Scoutmaster the same sentiment Mr. Bailey, Matt Bailey provided Scoutmaster. There's a long list of Scoutmasters, and Al Dodge was a Scoutmaster, Win Dodge was a Scoutmaster. Troop 28 has been very fortunate to have a long series of Scoutmasters. I think Al would be happy to see how it's come together. So Reverend Duda, if you would please, the benediction.
I just want to thank Ted Batchelder for sharing those words that Al said before he passed away. I'm leaving town. But it made me think of the words by Don Henley from Hotel California. You could check out, but you can never leave. And, you know, Al Dodge loved Wenham. He grew up in Wenham, and he'll always be part of Wenham. He loved this land, these fields. He grew up in these fields, and he'll always be part of these fields. And that's the legacy that we all have an opportunity to leave. And May he inspire us. I was inspired by Al, and it made me think of a verse of Scripture from the prophet Jeremiah, and I'll close with these words. He is like a tree planted by water that sends out its roots by the stream and does not fear when heat comes, for its leaves remain green, and is not anxious in the year of drought, for it does not cease to bear fruit. Inspired by Albert Winslow Dodge, may we too bear fruit. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Duda. This time, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. We appreciate your attendance, and if you have time, you can see the plaques around. But also, we want to invite you to the Scout Barn over to my right. There's a reception with light refreshments and time to probably hear some more stories about Al. So again, we're dismissed here. Thank you very much, everybody.